Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Greenbank, editor of Regional Gateway, and this week I'm joined by John Howell, Managing Director of AviaDev, and Nicolas Develer, Deputy CEO of Ravenala Airports in Madagascar, which is hosting this year's AviaDev Africa from the 9th to the 11th of June. I found out from John and Nicolas just what to expect at this year's virtual event, as well as their perspective on what the future holds for Africa's air transport sector and its airport community in particular, and whether the private-public partnership model for airports is one we might see being more widely adopted following the pandemic. So John, your event, AviaDev Africa, which was due to be held in Madagascar this year, hosted by Ravenala Airports, offers a great networking platform. So just what can participants and delegates expect at this year's online event?
Well, yeah, as you say, we've been unable to deliver the event live. So the great thing about that is we've been able to open this up to more and more people. So we have over 600 people registered from 70 countries. We've got over 40 airlines attending. And basically, it's a twofold event. There is a conference where we're going to debate in a proactive way some of the more controversial elements that we think are going to move the needle forward in African aviation. And then separate to that, we also organize meetings between airports, airlines, tourism boards, and suppliers to look at future partnerships. And we're the only platform that offers this. And it's the first time we've tried to do that in a virtual format.
Very true. And you touched earlier on how a big part of AviaDev's events is, whether in Africa or in Europe, is about bringing together the tourist boards, the airlines and the airports to negotiate together. Do you think that it's fair to say that tourism boards now have a place back at the table with airlines and airports when planning their route development and building air traffic?
I would say they've always had a place at the table. I've been working in this market for 10 years almost now, and it's been a message we've been promoting since the beginning. But I think now more than ever, it's absolutely vital. There's a couple of things on this. The first is that nearly 60% of all international tourists arrive by air. Therefore, by definition, a tourism board's most important customer is the airline that's bringing those people, because without them, they simply cannot access your destination. And secondly, the airports can't do this on their own. They are, as we said before, their revenues have been really affected by the pandemic. And it's going to require some investment from somewhere else, or some partnerships, some clever partnerships, which will probably be driven by the tourist board to say, we really want these airlines to recover. We want to have that conversation. Are we there yet globally or in Africa? Absolutely not. We don't have enough tourist board participation. So we would encourage all tourist boards that are out there to register. It's free to attend. Come along, support your airport in their meetings. Listen to the airlines. What do they think about your destination? How can you get them to restart service? So it's never been more important than now to bring this relationship closer together.
Okay, and AviaDev's host Ravenala Airports oversees operations at both Nosy Be and Antananarivo airports in Madagascar as part of a public-private partnership model. Do you think the P3 model is something that we will see being more widely adopted by African airports following the pandemic?
Yes, I do. I think that there's a statistic that only something like 10-11% of African airports have some sort of private ownership. And I think what the benefits of the private ownership is that the partnership that's been entered in Madagascar is very commercial in its nature. There's an imperative there to grow traffic, which of course benefits the destination, and you've got the expertise of an incredibly successful body behind this that knows how to do this, that has done a great job in all around the world, to be honest, with its development. So yes, I think this is a model, not for every country, but I would like to see a little bit more commercial focus, both from an airline and an airport perspective, and a little bit less burden on the states, because of course the states simply can't afford to keep propping up and bailing out the aviation industry. The aviation industry can succeed in a private manner, as it has in other parts of the world, and we'd like to see that. We don't think there's any reason that couldn't happen in Africa. There's huge opportunity.
Now, Ravenala Airports oversees operations at both Antananarivo and Nosy Be airports in Madagascar as part of an agreement with the government of the Republic of Madagascar. Is this public-private partnership model something you think we will be seeing more widely adopted by African airports following the pandemic?
The model in Madagascar is is very robust, because since more than 12 months now, so we had to face this huge crisis, and during this period of time we have been able to continue to pay all our staff. We have been able to continue to manage our concession agreement with the grantor, so we have been able to continue to do our business. So today, we think that due to the robustness of the model and the way concession contract are shaped, it's really, I think, a very good tool to be used even during a very huge crisis and a deep crisis. So I think that in the coming years, this kind of model could be developed in many countries, especially in Africa, where there is a need of infrastructure and to improve the quality of the airports. So I think it's really a good asset, to be used, to develop, the aviation business in Africa. Yes.
Okay, great. And what is the situation currently with your 2 airports in Madagascar, and what are your plans going forward?
So in terms of, so we have, so the first thing that we have to do, we have to regain the confidence of our clients. So I mean, travelers, many travelers. So it's why we are working very closely with airlines and also the Ministry of Tourism and Transport and Tourism, both of them, to see how we can do it, because we cannot do it alone. So it is the first set of actions that we have already launched. It is the first thing. The second thing is that we have working also with the ACI, with the Airport Council Association, to see how we can get our airport certified in order to share the same level of sanitary certifications. I'm talking about sanitary certifications, and to be part of the ACI network. We think it's very important, because if all the rules are not the same all around the world, it's going to be very difficult, to move from one country to another country. So it's why we have to move all together, and we are deeply involved in this process. And in addition to this, we're also working on these issues with one of the main shareholders, with ADP, to see how it's going to be all this process is going to be developed in Europe, and to see how we can use what has been done in Europe to be reused in some countries in Africa, and especially in Madagascar, and also the other way around, because we can see that in many airports in Africa and in Madagascar as well, the crisis has been taken in account, at the very early stage of the crisis. It's why I think it's one of the reasons why the COVID is a bit less, is not as bad as what it is in Europe. So it is the first stage of what actions that we're going to launch.
Okay, and you work very closely, Ravenala Airports working very closely with AviaDev for its event coming up in June. What are you most looking forward to?
But I think it's part of our it's part of the actions that we want to do. It is it is to meet all our clients. So we already meet them individually. So we want to set this event, which is not only for Madagascar, but it is to promote, the aviation industry all over Africa, and we'll use also this event. One, to meet again our client, and two, to promote the aviation sector in Africa. And I think it's very important, and we are very happy, because we can see that many airlines and airports are interested to attend this event, which is a very good sign for us. And in addition, I think it's a good opportunity, to because we can say that we start today almost from zero, because in Madagascar, but in many countries, the traffic is so low that it is, we have to test and to try to see how we can develop some brand new destinations.
Yeah. And so what is your outlook for Africa's aviation sector going forward then in the coming years?
For me, the crisis is not going to change anything in terms of for Africa, because if you look at the share of the aviation sector in the worldwide market, it is very, very low. I think if I have the right figure, it is around I think 10% or 12%. I don't remember. It's very low compared to the number of people. And if you look at the brand new growth so the market growth, which has been done by IATA, we can see that the African market growth should be much higher than the rest of the world, or higher, maybe not, maybe even little bit higher than Asia. So which is good. So we think that there are many opportunities, for airlines to develop their business, and we still need to improve the connectivity between countries. So all the obstacles that were before the crisis are still there, and we still have to think how we can jump over these obstacles. But I think there are some great opportunities, yes, to develop the aviation sector in Africa.